Good evening and welcome to the Monomoy Regional School District School Committee meeting for Wednesday, July 12th. I would like to call the meeting to order at 6:32. And the first item on our agenda is public comment. Seeing none, we will move on to the approval of minutes. We will be looking at the minutes from our June 22nd, 2023 school committee meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Aye. Aye.
All right, moving right along. Under reports and discussion, portrait of a graduate, final draft. Dr. Carpenter?
Sure. So I just wanted to share with the committee, we did a little presentation on the sort of the final rough draft of the portrait of the graduate that that was a little bit monochromatic on sort of a dark blue background. And as I mentioned at the meeting, Joy Jordan and I were going to work with the graphic designer to come up with something that was a little more colorful, that would pop more, but also put us in a situation where we could, sort of have the logo sit on a white background, so that you could have it be, sort of on the website as a, sort of a footnote, or on the, or in the signature bar on an email, or so the final graphics are in your packet. So the overall portrait hasn't changed. It's just sort of the color scheme. We'll be jointly working over the upcoming weeks, sort of laying out where we see sort of like this going. If you kind of think about a website, and so if you were to click on communicator and leader, and that blue quadrant is taking you to how that communicator and leader starts getting fleshed out, like what does that mean, and then kind of play it all the way forward for where in first grade are we developing that. Now mind you, that's going to be a process to fill that in, but we're going to kind of work on what would that final web page look like, or that final document, and sort of share sort of the vision of where we're going with our staff as we're heading into the new school year, and then kind of talk about how do we get from here to working collaboratively with the community to identify how we're going to go develop these skills and mindsets over the course of the pre-K through grade 12 experience that the kids have with us. So here we are with the final draft, and I want to give Joy a lot of credit for her working behind the scenes to with TLA's graphic designer to kind of get to where we are, but quite pleased with the final product.
Any questions, comments? Ms. Gaines?
It's very vibrant. I think it makes a great sticker.
Yep.
Yeah. I like it.
That's what we're shooting, because when we last came here, that portrait of the graduate, sort of like the compass rose was there, but everything was sort of dark blue on a dark blue background, with sort of white outlines, and we're like, okay, you can't really, and you can imagine how much toner you'd go through printing out posters of dark blue,
It looks like the Simon game.
Push
the colors.
Like Simon. Yeah.
It
like
looks
it.
great.
Yeah.
It really does.
It's pleasing. It's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. Looks fun.
I do think TLA will now, hopefully, I know that they'll plan on using this as an example of, sort of, here's where you could go with the portrait of the graduate, so.
Great job.
Yeah.
All right, moving right along to our policy discussion of school choice, file JFBB. For a first read, it's not a drastic change, Or Betty, do you want to talk about it? Or?
No, doesn't matter. I can do this. We're just adding one paragraph onto the second page, paragraph H. The superintendent has the discretion in consultation with the administration team to admit children of Monomoy Regional School District employees and municipal employees working for the town of Chatham or the town of Harwich outside of school choice under GLC 76, Section 12. In these special cases, Monomoy Regional School District is not eligible to receive school choice tuition for such students. So if we take in students after school choice has closed, then we do not get reimbursed for those students. But there may be special cases where we may want to consider something like that. Did I miss anything?
Just to add, basically, the paragraph that was added in red was the footnote at the bottom, so it's just putting it in the main body instead of, so it's just more visible for that. Dr. Carr?
And I just want to share, sort of why I requested that we put this in for clarity, because while it sat as a footnote, the footnote basically said that state law allows this, but it didn't make reference to that this was the will of the school committee. So it just said that state law permits this, but it wasn't really clear whether the school committee would allow the superintendent to do it. So this way, it says that it's at the discretion. This isn't something, that I would see me ever need. It's like using willy-nilly, but it's something that I think, by the way it's written, can benefit not just the school district when it comes to hiring. You could imagine that we might have a fantastic teacher that we want to bring on board here in the upcoming weeks who has a high school age child. We have advertised all school year that the high school was closed for choice. We're at peak capacity. If we can land that teacher, and that teacher's hope is that their child who's a high school student could go here, adding that one student and is good for us, as a school district in terms of hiring and retention. Granted, it means that we're not getting $5,000 for school choice if they live in another community, but it's a benefit, in terms of us for hiring. It's also written that we can do this for the town. You can imagine Ryan wants to land a new firefighter. This is something that they might say, hey, here's, this is something that we could use. There's a real world example of this. Chatham hired a new DPW director, and they were shopping around for a place to live and looking at school districts. And so Rob Faley, the new DPW director in Chatham, had his kids came and to go see our high school. You'd want to be able to say, hey, we want to support hiring and retaining good staff for our towns, good staff for our schools. In many cases, the grades are available for school choice, but in a few rare exceptions, and I might imagine that this might have a $5,000 impact here or there, but this is not something that's going to be a financial hit. I think this is going to be a windfall when it comes to being able to retain and hire good people, both for the school district and the towns.
Any other questions, discussion? My only question is, should it say administrative team instead of administration team? Isn't that
Yeah.
like wordsmithy?
No, I agree.
Okay. So with that small change, are we okay to bring it back for a second read in August?
Yep.
Okay, great. All right, moving right along, transportation offset to assessments.
All right, good evening, school committee. Michael McMillan, school business manager. So we have two items. The first is the transportation offset. So when we do the budget at the start of the year, during the budget process, we have an estimate of what our transportation revenue from the state will be. That the state provides that estimate. And then during the actual year, if the amount we get from the state is more than we estimated, then through a vote of the school committee, we can use those funds to offset a future a budget year. So that's what this vote's for. The one thing to know about this year is it's a lot lower than it's been in recent years, which is unfortunate for next budget year. So when we start to do the budget next year, we'll only have $19,000 to offset the budget, whereas, for this year we had, I think it was $199,000. So it's just this is preview of a discussion we'll have during the budget. Is do we draw on our E&D to offset that reduction, or do we try and reduce costs somewhere else? But the number is just what it is. So it's the state estimated it at one number, and it turned out to be very close to that number when we actually got those funds.
Any questions, comments? Do I have a motion? Ms. Rogers?
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to approve an offset of $19,523 to be applied to the fiscal year 25 transportation portion of the assessment.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
All right, thank you very much.
You hanging out?
Yep.
All right, next, approval of prior year invoices and encumbrances.
So just another sort of task we do every year. So as we close the financial year, so the vouchers actually you're signing are our last sort of live vouchers on FY23. So we've now finished that year. However, we still have some bills that we know are out there that we've ordered and not received the goods or services yet, that we ordered last year, and we're still waiting for the invoices, things like that. Then what we do is we encumber those funds from the FY23 budget, but we'll pay them from those funds when we finally receive the invoice. So with your approval, essentially what we do is we set aside FY23 funds, that's last year's funds, and hold them until we get these invoices, and then we can use those funds to pay them. So when I do my financial report the next meeting, closing out the year, it will be net of these costs because we're assuming we're going to pay them. And if in the end we don't end up paying them, so for example, sometimes, if something's on back order, we've received most of an order and we're just waiting for the last couple of things, and they're on back order, and then we don't get them, so we've set aside the money to pay for them, but we don't actually get them, then that money will just cancel the PO and the money will flow through to our excess and deficiency in the issue.
Questions, comments? A motion? Oh, sorry, I'm
I just
sorry.
have a question, Michael. There's no dates for the prior year, the vendors, the invoice, date of service or date that we're waiting on the invoice. Are these year-long? I mean, obviously, some of the ones that are for, we were waiting for tuition, for reimbursement of tuition costs and courses, waiting for those certificates.
Yep.
But when it comes to like Granite City Electric or something like, Harwich Paint, is that something we did like really right at the end?
Yeah, very much. So there is a bit of a mix. Some of
It's
them
not
are
something
just-
we're really chasing, it's just something, it's just time-wise.
No, I have to say, Leanne Marcotte in the business office has done a great job of chasing all these down. So there's
Okay.
very few where they're just like, we just don't know what's happening. We know what's happening on every single one of these. And most of them are either, they were ordered kind of towards the end of the year and everyone was like, we really need it. And then, we got half of the order, so we're still waiting for the last thing. Or there's some projects, we've been doing a lot of facilities projects, so some of them started in June and we're going to finish in July, but because we encumbered those funds to pay for them, there's still some outstanding. It's paid for the parts and we're just waiting to pay for the labour, so that will come out of this same budget.
In the town of Harwich, because that's obviously the largest one here, is that
Yeah.
always this late?
No, not normally, but they've had a lot of turnover there. We have contacted them a few times. I'm sure the invoice is coming. So this is, we just, if anyone doesn't know, we pay for the insurance of the building of Harwich Elementary School, building insurance, but the town arranges insurance as part of their insurance, and just send us a bill. We just haven't sent us a bill yet. So we're sure that we've been insured. We're sure we've been insured, and so we just need to pay them money. So I'm confident they'll be coming soon. Because they're going through the same process. They're closing out their year, so they're going to want to make sure they book this revenue to FY23. So
Thank you.
yeah, that's it.
Do I have a motion? Misty Bretlawn?
Yep, I move to approve the rolling over fiscal year '23 encumbrances into fiscal year '24 in the amount of $84,626.49.
Second?
Second?
All those, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right. Next is the approval of the MRHS donation to Dream Day of Cape Cod. Ooh.
So
again?
I can give you a quick overview of this. So this is, so students, we have the student activity accounts, and the students have gone out and raised money for the Dream Day on Cape Cod. They had a 5K on the fun fair. So those funds are, strictly speaking, they're students' funds. We keep them in the student activity accounts. We kind of help manage those funds for them. But strictly speaking, they're not district funds. Nevertheless, so because as a district, we're not really allowed, we're not allowed to make charitable donations because district funds can only really be used for district purposes. So, however, as these are student funds, they can do whatever they like with them. What they would like to do is donate them to the charity that the activities we're undertaking for. However, just so everyone knows what's happening, the state recommends that we just get school committee approval to make the payment so you're aware of what's happening.
So just for clarification, so Red Right Return, that's the name of the student activity account or club?
Yeah.
It's their nonprofit
I mean-
that they created.
Oh,
They were the
okay.
interns.
And they're holding money, okay, so they're holding that money, okay. All right.
Any other questions? Do I have a motion?
I just have a question.
Oh,
So
yeah.
because the Red Right Return is a nonprofit LLC, or it's a 501c3. So it's not Monomoy funds, it's Red Right Returns funds?
But I think because they were still seniors in high school, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think because they were still seniors in high school and they were students, but they created the nonprofit so they can continue the project. So they're hoping to have another event next year and continue to have fundraising events each year. But I think as the
Strictly
first
speaking,
one,
yeah,
they were
it
still
says on behalf of Red
students.
Right Turn, but strictly speaking, those are in a student activity
Yeah.
account in the district.
And they were seniors, so they're graduated, or yes, they have graduated.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we could give the money to them, and they could give it to the charity, but it just seemed easier, I think, to just.
I'm just thinking that the ownership of the funds is the Red Right Return if they've created a 501c3, so it's not for us to approve.
But I think so then we
Giving
would
the
need to come back
funds.
and get your approval to send the money to them in order for them to give it to the charity. So the district collected, they deposited the funds in the student activity account. So that's where the check.
So they've already done it in reverse. They've given the funds back to Monomoy
Yeah,
from
so
Red
Monomoy
Right
has the
Return.
funds, not Red Right Return.
No, Red Right Return gave it to a
While they
Monomoy
collected
school
all the
fund.
funds and just kept them from, I don't think they actually went through their account, I think they just the checks came straight to the district. Because Red Right Return was not initially set up before the activity was undertaken. I mean, so we could wait.
You see me processing? I'm like,
Yeah, I know,
something's
it's a
not,
lot. I mean, because strictly speaking, it's not yet, well,
Maybe we can confirm the status of the
well, yeah.
nonprofit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess their options really are to either just, we can give the money to Red Light Return, if that's what we choose to do with it. They can donate it on to Dream Day, that might be easier.
well, I mean, I think if it was called the Red Right Return, like, committee or Red Right Return club,
Yeah,
then
makes
those
more
are student
sense.
funds, and we authorize giving them to whatever charity they want. That's traditionally what we do. But because Red Right Return is its own 501c3,
Yeah.
they've now given the money to Monomoy. So, what you're asking for us to do is Monomoy is
So the
now
num-
going to
so-
give on behalf of Red Right Return to Dream Day?
So just to be clear, so I don't think the money, well, I mean, I'll double check, but I don't believe the money came directly from Red Right Return. They went out and were like, if you would like to donate money to this, make your checks out to Monomoy Regional School District. They went in our account.
They were made out to
At the
Monomoy
same time,
Regional
they've gone
School
ahead and
District.
created this charity. So
Okay.
they've sent a letter that said
Yeah.
on behalf of Red Right Return, which is now charity, but strictly speaking, that's not.
If the money's didn't pass through Red Right Return as a 501c3 and they were made direct to the Monomoy Regional School Committee, I mean, to the school district, then, yeah, then it makes sense. But if, do you understand what I'm saying?
Okay. I mean, the thing is here, why does it say on behalf of Red Right
Yeah.
Return at the bottom? If
Right.
that's
Right.
kind of, I mean, it does muddy the waters a little bit.
But that clarifies where the money sits now and how it got to the fund. So, I'm just trying to think of how to make a motion, because I was like, is it on behalf? Yeah, go ahead, Tina.
Game.
Before you make a motion, I guess a concern I would have, if this is a 501c3, I'm curious about what their reporting would be for any funds. I guess I need to know a little bit more about it. Are we going to be tied up in that report?
So the money, so Red Right Turn really has nothing, I mean, that's the organization they've set up to take this work forward, but it's not part of our accounts. So, so we're not tied, so they shouldn't be reporting anything related to this donation, because the money never went through them.
Sorry, Madam Chair.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, this was an internship project through Sherry Armstrong, and it was a business one, and they developed this nonprofit concept, and they called it Red Right Return. And what they wanted to do with this nonprofit were to hold events, to raise money, and then donate that money to certain, entities around their community, such as Dream Day of Cape Cod. And I think the intention of Red Right Return was to build a 501c3 business model where they could continue to market that and do events continually, like through the years, after Max graduated, or Colin, or Anna if she wants. I don't know who owns the 501c3, but they would continue that beyond school after they graduate. So I don't see Red Right Return being part of the district.
Yep.
Because this was their own business model, this was completely separate. So I guess I'm just confused as to why they put the money back, why they had it made out to Monomoy when it was being advertised, and their nonprofit they were creating, part of their project was Red Right Return.
Maybe we just need more information. I wonder if their internship project was called Red Right Return, but the end product was to create this nonprofit, but to have the event, all of the money was coming into the district because that hadn't been created yet.
I think that's what it was.
So I think it was a school event, and then it turns into the nonprofit, I think.
School project, and then
Yes.
it turned into the...
Yes.
I mean, so, strictly speaking, I don't know much about Red Right Return. I knew they were doing these fundraisers.
Well, that's when you're in
for
the
this
channel, Michael,
purpose.
and you keep the boot.
Having recently bought a boat, I'm aware of Red Right Return. I'm very anxious about it.
As I'm colorblind.
But so my understanding, and I was just double checking. So we have a check coming out of student activity funds. So these funds are raised. So they put this on the letter. Strictly speaking, they raise funds for this purpose. They now want to write the check for the purpose they originally sent out for. I mean, the money's, going to the charity, and that's what they told us they were going to do with it. So I think that the whole Red Right Return and what they're planning to do with that doesn't really impact this.
Should we get clarity before we vote?
Yeah, I would, and again, I'm just looking, so Dream Day on Cape Cod is receiving $8,000, of which they have to account for. So are they accounting for it in the category of Red Right Return or Monomoy? I guess it's a little...
So it's a line, so it just says that in the letter, the check's coming from Monomoy Regional School District
As a donation,
as a donation.
which they have to have some type of...
Based on student activity.
They have
funds.
to have a certificate of a 501c3 or the donation.
No, because it's nothing so they can put this in the letter, but the check doesn't say anything about Red Right Return.
Right,
It's just
but
going
if
to Red
Monomoy
Right
is donating $8,000
Yep,
to
on
Dream
behalf of
Day,
these
and
students,
they're doing
yeah.
their books, when they write off the donation from Monomoy Regional School District, they have to report it was from a nonprofit entity. So what's the nonprofit entity, Monomoy?
Yeah, 100%.
And as far as our books are concerned, we can do that.
Yep.
I think that's where you were coming from.
Yep, I think, yep.
As a
Okay,
business
I mean,
manager,
it's-
if you think we're good.
Yeah, as long as you think we're good.
Yeah.
I just, yeah.
I mean, it's just,
It's over $5,000,
Yeah.
so,
I mean, I guess. you
Which
know,
is great,
just-
but,
it's over that
Right.
cap.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like, so they've created this group. So I guess the bit is like just throwing a, you know, a curveball is that they've created this charity as well, but that's not really related. That's a kind of subsequent act. It's not related to this. So whether or not they had created that, they, you know, they did the activity, they raised funds for this purpose, and the students now want to cut the check. And strictly speaking, because it's the students' funds, unless we think there's something like really nefarious or wrong with it, you know, we have to let them do what they want with their money.
Ms. Games?
So, I don't even know, I don't know. Where it says, on behalf of Red Right Return, please accept this check from their student activity account. I guess I'm just trying to look for a bit more clarity just for our own documentation, but if you think it's okay, that's fine.
Do you think the letter needs to be changed?
I
I mean,
think
it
so,
doesn't say
yeah.
Red Right Return
Please accept this
503C
check
or anything like that. I mean, it doesn't even
from
really
their
explain.
activity, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't read that from their activity
Yeah.
account, it just,
It just, I
Yeah,
don't
so.
know, it's like on
whether-
behalf of,
Subject
yeah,
to that change,
yeah,
we can make that change to the letter before.
yeah.
And still vote on it tonight?
Yeah.
Are we comfortable with that?
Comfortable with that.
He's the business manager. And Michael, I would visit you.
You would visit me?
Yes,
Yeah.
if something goes, sometimes if something goes wrong, it's what is called an indictment. So I vote yes.
You get one phone call and it's to Terry.
Terry, and his friend Dickie.
I mean, yeah, there's nothing, I mean, I'm definitely not going to jail for it. I expect you all to visit.
Okay, do I have a motion? Or do we
I
want?
mean, I can try,
Okay.
but so the letter's written as it's Sherry Armstrong, on behalf of Monomoy Regional School District.
On behalf of Red Right Return, actually. And who is Sherry? Is she the, yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't know, I don't know if I'm comfortable.
So, it's to approve approval of the Monomoy Regional High School donation to Dream Day of Cape Cod on behalf of Red Right Return. Would that be what we're looking for?
What about Red Right Returns fundraiser activity?
Can I ask a question, please?
Mm-hmm.
So, has this money already gone, and or has it not gone?
It's in your warrant, so if you don't approve it, we'll pull out this voucher.
So, it's not that we don't want to approve it, would it be too much to ask for it to just be delayed by a couple of weeks, just to get, I don't know, I'm just, this doesn't feel clean to me.
So, I mean, so the Red Right Return was what they called themselves.
Yeah, I remember
were put in the
their
school
whole
district.
presentation,
That's
yeah.
what they're talking, when they say on behalf of Red Right Return, they're talking about the intern organization within Monomoy Regional
And that
School
I
District.
get.
There's nothing here that says it's from a separate charity that's also called Red Right Return.
Yeah, it
So-
just doesn't link, like Red Right Return, it doesn't really link anything in the letter, like, and all of a sudden it's from Red Right and Return. So,
It's actually on behalf of the internship program.
yeah, I just feel like that line
Because
just
it's
needs to
also
be.
written on behalf of Sherry, so it's written, it's a donation from Monomoy to the
Well,
internship program.
I mean, we could
From
add
the
on behalf
internship
of
program.
Red Right Return Student Internship
That's what,
Program.
I would say something like that, because it makes
Yeah.
sense as to why Monomoy's involved.
I think
Yeah,
Dr. Carpenter?
I was just going to make a friendly suggestion that I think if you added, something in there to the motion that on behalf of the students who have formed Red Right Return, because I don't think we need to overly complicate it. It's students who, develop this, students who put money into a student activity and are now requesting it go in the direction that student activity wanted. And, I think we can just say that it's on behalf of the students who who have developed Red Right Return, but, but I think put students in the, or in the motion, that's what this account's all about.
Ms. Gaines?
I think that's a great suggestion, and could I just also ask, so on behalf of the students who developed Red Right Return, please accept this check from their student activity account, period. Can I just add that in there?
Are you prepared?
That way it's a little cleaner as to why we're in the middle of this. Or do you want me to make a motion?
Would you like to make a
Oh,
motion?
sure. So I will make a motion that we approve the donation of $8,000 on behalf of Red Right Return to Dream Day on Cape Cod with the edit on the letter to read, on behalf of the students who developed Red Right Return, please accept this check from their student activity account.
Do I have a second?
I would second that.
Any discussion? All those
Donna?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? All right.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving right along to Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment Transition and Changes at Central Office.
Just to, sort of share sort of my perspective as a school administrator, I think administrators really have an obligation to grow capacity of systems and, to support teachers going into leadership roles, to support teacher leaders, becoming, school leaders, to, support, curriculum coordinators to become directors of curriculum, and, assistant principals to be principals, and directors of curriculum instruction and assessment to rethink things and, or to become superintendents. So I'm very proud that, that Dennis Yarmouth School Committee voted Mark Smith to be Dennis Yarmouth's next superintendent. I am slowly emerging from the fetal position, but I, in the letter of recommendation that I wrote for Mark to that committee, I, couldn't imagine a better person suited for success in that role, and I'm just glad for the time that we've had with Mark, and it's been great to watch, him grow in the role here, and I know he's well positioned to go and be successful there. So we have an opening. I'll publicly announce out there that we have an opening for a Director of Curriculum Instruction and Assessment. We have posted it. We have at the moment 10 applicants already. The posting is due to close on Friday. We have a number of applicants in that group who I think could be successful in the role. We'll have a hiring team that will be composed of Michael and I, two of the principals, our two new curriculum coordinators, and a teacher leader from each building. So we'll ideally be interviewing on Monday, and based on who people decide they think we should be interviewing and how that all comes together and whether we have consensus, we'll see how long the process goes beyond Monday. But I'm optimistic. As I said, I'm slowly leaving the fetal position, and hopefully we'll have somebody in place realistically, if all goes well, by the beginning of the second week in August, because we have to kind of imagine that individual needs time to transition out of whatever role they're currently in. Tomorrow, I think, is Mark's official last day with us. He did grace us with his presence here this evening. We also have at the table over there is for it's almost like for one day and one day only. We have Monomoy's curriculum department. So we have our two new curriculum coordinators. So we have Lindsay Parker So Lindsay is our new grade 5 through 8 curriculum coordinator. Oh, sorry, 5 through 12. It's been a long day already. And we have Anne Marie Varela, who will be our 5 through 12 curriculum director or coordinator for math and STEM related things. So they're already coming up with with everything, tapping Mark for for all they can during this meeting. But anyway, so just to kind of let people know some of the other sort of changes that we have going on. As you may also know, we're slowly seeing a contraction in enrollment at the elementary schools and middle schools. So there's some space available at the middle school. Space here at the high school is tight because we're at sort of peak enrollment is coming. We're about a year away from sort of like the maximum enrollment at the high school. So we're going to free up a little bit of space here at the high school and use some available space over at the middle school to sort of bring people together. So we're actually going to move Jim Birchfield and Holly Thing. So Jim Birchfield is our Director of Instructional Technology. Holly Thing is our data assessment compliance specialist. They'll be moving over to the central office area, which is good because they all have roles that interface with curriculum and business office and superintendent's office. So they'll be moving over there and free up some office space so that hopefully Sherry Armstrong next year isn't like in an alcove as an office. We will also be taking one of the available classrooms, sort of the next classroom down up on the second floor next to central office. We'll create a curriculum office that will have Lindsay and Anne Marie and the to-be-named curriculum director of curriculum instruction and assessment will be in that room together, so that will, so we'll have that, that room will be sort of like the curriculum office. By moving Mark into there, it'll actually free up a space because we have an HR director who has never had her own space to have the conversations that an HR person really sometimes needs to have. So she'll actually finally have a space that she can have as her office. So I think we'll get everybody sort of shifted around, but those are at least some of the physical shifts in terms of where people are going to be located. But I'd welcome Lindsay or Anne Marie if you want to go introduce yourselves. There's an open mic.
We're here, we're very happy to be here. We've been working together already since the beginning of the meeting, and it's very exciting.
It's always open.
So we had a meeting last week with with Mark and I and Lindsay and Anne Marie, just talking about the transition and the handoff. So so I think we'll be well suited, and I know where to find Mark when I have all my questions. I'll leave it with that and open it to questions from the committee.
Any discussion, questions, comments? Ms. Gaines?
So I think we just should give Mark a round of applause for all of what he's done for our district. And good luck. Yeah, congratulations.
Or we'll come find you.
We all know where to find you. And I also want to just compliment Scott, because this is 2 superintendents now that you've launched, right? So I think word's going to get out that this is a nice place to mentor. So kudos to you.
We've got great people and a deep bench, so I think people recognize that. So.
Yep. All right.
Anything else? All right. just a big thank you to Mark for being organized to pass the torch with all the, everything that you've created over here. And good luck. All right, so, no subcommittee representative liaison reports. Oh. And moving right along to the superintendent's report.
I would like to waive my time on that.
Oh, all right.
Every minute matters.
Nothing to report? Okay.
Okay, we have had the presentation of the warrants, so I'm looking for a motion for adjournment.
Wow.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we adjourn at 7:12.
Oh, 7:12.
And just a reminder,
I got 7:10.
post adjournment, because I should have said this before, but just as a reminder, our school committee workshop is Wednesday, August 9th, and our last summer meeting on Wednesday will be August 23rd, which will be a regular meeting. Just as a reminder. All right, have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.